You are going to listen to a conversation between two people, a customer and a representative of a company which rents cars. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now the test will begin. Remember, you will hear the recording only once, so answer the questions as you listen. Now listen to the first part of the conversation and answer questions 1 to 6.
Thank you for calling Carline. So that we can best help you, can you please press the star button on your phone now? Thank you. Now choose one of the following 4 options by pressing the buttons on your telephone. Press 1 if you would like to make a car reservation. Press 2 if you would like to talk to someone about a car reservation. Press 3 if you would... Please hold while we put you through to one of our assistants.
Good morning, Melanie speaking. How can I help you?
My name is Mr. Maxine, and I booked a car several days ago to be picked up from Heathrow Airport in London, and I'd like to change the booking.
I see. Have you got a reference?
Yes, I have it here somewhere on a piece of paper. Here it is. It's A for Alpha, C for Charlie, F for Foxtrot, Y for...
Yeah.
Yes. The number 15, 15, A for Alpha, and G for Go.
Let's see. Can I just check that? ACFY 15AG.
Yes.
Mr. John Maxine.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so how can I help you?
I booked a car for 3 days from this Friday at 6 p.m. to Monday at 6 p.m.
Yes, a manual.
I'd like to change it for a larger car and an automatic rather than a manual. And I'd also like to book it for 5 rather than 3 days.
Okay, let's have a look. We have an estate which is automatic.
Yes, that would be perfect.
There is a difference in price, though.
For the extra 2 days?
Yes, but also for the size of the car. The estate is £15 more expensive per day than the saloon car you have already booked.
Okay, and how much extra is it altogether then?
That makes it an extra £165.
It seems rather expensive. The last time I hired one, it wasn't so much.
When was that?
Several weeks ago.
I see.
Before the speakers continue their conversation, look at questions 7 to 10.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 7 to 10.
Well, it's basically because the rates change daily according to the cars available. The estate is the last automatic we have for hire for that period. We have a manual estate, which is cheaper, if that would help.
No, it has to be an automatic.
Okay. Shall I debit your card for the extra £165?
Is it possible for me to pay the extra in cash when I pick up the car at the airport?
I'm afraid that isn't possible, as there are no facilities for handling cash at that time of the day.
That seems odd.
It's because the money can't be banked in the evening, and for security reasons, no cash is held on the premises.
Okay, you can debit my card.
You'll have to give the number to me again.
Isn't it logged on the screen?
For security reasons, it doesn't come up on the screen when we look at the booking. Any changes, and it has to be entered again.
I see. It's 34459911.
3445 9911
4425
4425
7750.
7750. Okay, that has now been authorised. Shall we send the receipt to your Park Vale address?
Yes, number 40.
Is there anything else I can help you with, Mr. Maxine?
No, nothing else, thank you.
Have a nice trip.
Thank you. Goodbye.
That's the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to Part 2. Part 2.
You will hear a lecture on bird migration.
First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 17.
My lecture this evening will focus on the migration of birds. That is, how birds fly in big groups from different parts of the world at certain times of the year. In the first part of the lecture, I'll talk about the reasons why birds migrate, when they migrate, and which parts of the world they migrate from and to. To start with, why do birds migrate? Well, there are two main reasons. One, they migrate to look for food, and two, they travel to parts of the world that are more suitable for breeding. In fact, these reasons are closely linked. As you can imagine, when birds are breeding, they need extra food to feed their young. And in the spring, in the cooler climates of Europe, there is a lot of food for birds, especially insects. So, generally, during the spring, birds fly up from the tropics, which are hot, to cooler climates in the north. They stay there for a few months to bring up their young. And then, when the weather in the north gets cold in the winter, they fly back to warmer climates in the south. Now I'd like to talk a bit about how global warming has affected bird migration. One of the effects of global warming has been to make the spring come earlier in the northern regions of the world. When spring comes early, the plants and insects that birds need to bring up their young are also available earlier. Research has shown that quite a lot of birds have started to migrate earlier because of higher temperatures. But unfortunately for some species, this hasn't been early enough. What I'm saying is that birds that are travelling a long way for breeding may arrive too late to find enough food to feed their young, and their population drops drastically. Scientists are currently researching more about this.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 18 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 18 to 20.
Now, I thought I'd finish by just briefly describing a few different patterns of migration. Migration varies with the type of bird and the area they come from. For example, one kind of migration is partial migration. This means that some birds in a particular species will migrate and others won't. It usually depends on how the weather affects food supplies, and very often happens in the tropics. In another migratory pattern, a bird called an Arctic tern migrates the whole length of the globe from the North Pole to the south. The Arctic tern travels between 12 and 15,000 kilometres each way when it migrates in a complete circle around the world. It's quite amazing. Right, and lastly, I'd like to mention a pattern which isn't nearly as spectacular, but is very interesting. And this is the way many birds migrate across North America. In this pattern, the birds fly northwards in the west of the country and then back south again in the east. So, if you imagine it, they're actually migrating in a circular pattern, like the hands of a clock, not in a straight line, as we might think.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn
To part 3.
Part 3. You'll hear a lecturer talking to students about sport in Ireland.
First, look at questions 21 to 23. As you listen, answer the questions.
21 to 23.
Now, today we're going to be finding out about the most popular sports in the Emerald Isle. That's Ireland, of course. Can you guess what they are? Well, there are these two lesser-played games, a form of rounders and Gaelic handball. But we'll start with one which is perhaps over 3,000 years old, arriving in Ireland with the Celts, some claim. That may be a slight exaggeration, but I consider it to be the fastest field game in the world, and it goes by the name of hurling. Well, that's what it's known as in the English-speaking world anyway. So, what do you have to do? You've got 15 players on a team, one of them the goalkeeper. Each one has a stick called a hurley. Here you are. I've brought mine along. Had it since I was at school. This is what it looks like, and basically you have to get this ball, called a sliotar, that's S-L-I-O-T-A-R, so it's not spelt the way it's pronounced. You hit it into the net for 3 points, or you can hit it over the net for 1 point. The goal looks like the letter H, with the net under the crossbar. The goalie has a bigger stick than the others to help keep the ball out. You can also catch the sliotar and run with it for 4 steps maximum, or bounce it on your stick. Is that clear to you all? I'll be showing you a video a bit later, so you can see what a game actually looks like. You might like to think of it as a mixture of lacrosse, hockey, and baseball. Oh, and it's played by women too, but it goes by the name of camogie in that case.
Before the conversation continues, look at questions 24 to 30. Now listen to the second part of the discussion.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 24 to 30.
I'll give you a bit of the history, shall I now? Generally, the golden age of the game is considered to be the 18th century. But systematic rules were first agreed and drawn up at that great shrine of learning, Trinity College Dublin, in 1879, founding the Irish Hurling Union, closely followed just a few years later by the formation of the Gaelic Athletics Association. With greater organisation last century, the All-Ireland Hurling Championship got off to a flying start, and I'm proud to say that my own native city of Cork has won more than 20 titles over the years. But then, so have Kilkenny and Tipperary. Is it only played in Ireland? No. Well, it is the only country with a national team at the moment, but you may be surprised to discover there are hurling clubs in London, as well as in America and Argentina, to name just a few. The other game I'd like to take a little time to introduce you to is Gaelic football, which is played on the same pitch as hurling with the same number of players. But there's no net. You just have to get the ball over your opponent's goalposts. And you can do that by kicking or punching the ball. However, you're not supposed to do that to the players, I might add. Imagine it as a combination of soccer and basketball. But in my opinion, it's a more exciting spectacle than either of those. Excuse my bias, if you will. It's also very popular with women. In fact, there are more women's teams than for any other sport. Whether despite or because of the physical contact involved, I wouldn't like to say. They do play a shorter game, 60 minutes, rather than the men's 70. So, let's have a look. If we can have the lights down, I'll see if I can get this technology to work.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4.
You will hear a local radio program giving information about jobs that are available in the area.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
This is Mandy. Good morning, Mandy. What's up in the employment world this morning?
Well, Simon, this morning I have 5 jobs that have come in, and the first is for a dental assistant. That's located in Tunbridge, and it's 2.5 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturday mornings. You've got to be at least 25, and the salary is £2,080 per annum, and you've got to be experienced. The second opening is for a florist, and this is according to experience as to wage, and the age is open. The job is in Tunbridge Wells, and the hours are from 9 to 6 Monday to Saturday, and because you're working Saturday, you get a day off in the week. Now, as that's a florist, you must be very experienced in all aspects of floristry and capable of working to a very high standard. Previous managerial experience is an advantage, as this job has actually got nice prospects, because there's a possibility of management for the right applicant.
So there's one for someone who's going places. What's next, Mandy?
Next job then, Simon, is an evening job, and it's for a cleaner. The The wage is £25 per week and the age is 30 plus. Hours for this, as it's an evening job, 6 to 8:30 Monday to Friday. So that's a nice job for someone who wants to do something in the evening, Simon. They must be fully experienced as an office cleaner, hoovering, dusting and polishing, etc.
And where's that one based?
Oh yes, that one's in Tunbridge. The fourth job we've got lined up is for General Catering Assistant, based in Paddock Wood. The wage is £48.40 plus full board, so that's full board and it's £48.40. The age is 18 plus and there are alternate shifts on this job. It's 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and 11:30 to 7:30 p.m. and the job consists of cleaning, washing up the kitchen, as well as serving in the dining room and all sorts of domestic duties. Experience is not necessary. So for someone who's 18 plus, that's a nice little job there. And here's the punchline: 10 weeks holiday per annum.
Oh ho, I might put in for that myself.
I can just see you up to your elbows in the washing up, Simon. Last vacancy is for an office job. That's secretary and personal assistant based in Tunbridge. The wage is £4,298 per annum. Now, there's a little bit of detail I must give here. It's part-time to start with, 3 days a week for 3 months. So for the part-time, it's 3/5 of £4,298. And then after 3 months, it goes to a full-time job, 9 to 5. That's for someone 21 plus. And the job consists of work as a secretary cum personal assistant to social workers. You need fairly good shorthand and good typing speeds required. And it's also related to clerical work, answering the phone and reception, etc. And because it's working for social workers, you need a responsible attitude and common sense. So if you're interested in any of these jobs, get in touch with Tunbridge Job Centre on Tunbridge 55499 and ask for extension 30. And that's it, Simon.
Thank you very much indeed, Mandy. By the way, that's your day's work done. You can just sit back now and do absolutely nothing.
Wouldn't that be nice, Simon? Haha, if only I could.
That is the end of section 3.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.